I'm Meggie Kay. So today I'm gonna do a little chatty video about body image in Japan and confidence, body confidence in Japan as a foreign woman. Now, this video was inspired by a video over on Jen's channel, Oh Shadow Girl, that she posted like a long time ago. And I commented on it. I'm like, I have a lot more I could say. I should do in my own video. But because of the backlog of travel videos I had, I'm just getting to it now. So this kind of topic will have a lot of different opinions and different experiences because we all come from different places and we all have like different baggage about this topic. So I think it's good for everyone to just share their experiences, just talk about what's happening and what's out there. And yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do today. Jen's video, they go into this article that someone wrote about this topic, and I've read that article and I'm a bit meh on most of it, but if you're interested, I'm linking Jen's video below and you can read the article via that. And yeah, I'm just going to get into kind of like my story and my experience and kind of tell you about that in this video. Okay, so I figured a good spot to kind of start this video would be my history, my backstory, everything that led up to me coming to Japan and the point of this video, just so you kind of know. So I grew up being the fat kid. That was like, I was the fat kid growing up. I was bullied a lot for being overweight. I was bullied for a lot of other things too. People would bully me for my hair and my teeth and how I talked and how I walked. And when I lived in the States, I was bullied for being the foreign kid. So basically, I was bullied for a lot of things, but the number one thing I was bullied for was my weight. And this went on from about the time I was 7 until maybe 12. It kind of like tapered off in high school. But yeah, I kind of just like went through high school under the radar and I kind of like wasn't bullied, but my weight did fluctuate quite a bit. I went from everything from a size 2 to a size 10 in high school, like Canadian, North American sizes, size 2 to size 10. Like there was quite a bit going on there. I was always, I guess, on the heavier side after that. I gained a bit of weight when I moved to Germany after high school, and then it wasn't until I was in university when I was around 20 that I actually like got my shit together and I lost about 50 pounds, so around 20 kilograms, and I kind of kept it off after that and kind of maintained a really healthy weight, a really good weight for like my height and BMI and whatever. I felt very comfortable. I was never a skinny girl. I never got to like skinny, never like super fit, but like healthy enough and comfortable in my own skin. And I maintained that for maybe, what was it, like 5-6 years, I think? And that kind of brings us to Japan and body confidence in Japan, how I feel. And the answer is my confidence has gone way down since coming to Japan. But it's also not shocking or surprising that that has happened because my body itself has changed a lot since coming to Japan. I have gained a lot of weight. And when you go through like a fairly significant weight loss, like I said, I lost, 20 kilos, and to see weight start coming back on, it's really depressing. Like it's really upsetting, and it brings you down, and I'm not cool with that. And I'm not cool with how I look. I'm very self-conscious of how I look now, whereas when I first arrived to Japan, like, everyone has hang-ups about their body, but generally speaking, I didn't worry too much about it. So looking on the positive side, I guess, me gaining weight in Japan, I am a lot more proportional now, because like when I gain weight around my hips and my thighs and that area. Naturally, I'm very top heavy, so I have like balanced myself out, but it's still like bigger. I'm more proportional, but I'm also bigger and uncomfortable with that weight gain. I would rather just deal with being top heavy than to deal with being uncomfortable in my skin, you know what I mean? And I guess that kind of brings us to like shopping in Japan and buying clothes, because none of the pants that I brought with me to Japan fit me anymore. Like the clothes I brought with me, there's very few things that still fit me because I have gained, you know, weight. I've gained a lot of weight. My body has drastically changed. So obviously I need to buy clothes in Japan. And I think this is where a lot of people get hang-ups, is trying to find clothes that fit them in Japan. And honestly, I don't think it's actually that hard. Maybe if you're like significantly bigger, if you are considered overweight to obese, whereas like right now, like if you do BMI, whatever, even though BMI, you know, my current BMI is probably, I straddle the normal to overweight. I'm like right at that line, that cutoff. Whereas like before I was like well into like the middle to lower side of the BMI. But yeah, so maybe if you're like significantly larger, you might struggle, but I still find it's not that things don't fit, it's that things are not cut correctly. And I think that's the big difference I've noticed when it comes to shopping in Japan, is that things are not cut to fit different body shapes. A lot of Japanese women are fairly boxy shaped. Like I said, I gain weight around my hips. So my hips have gone from fairly, well, like I've always had a waist and some hips, but I'm more top heavy. So my hips have gone out. And that is where I've noticed the struggle comes in, is the cut of bottoms. So like I could go into a store like Uniqlo and I can fit into a skirt, but this flared A-line skirt is hugging my hips until about the knee. And then it can like flare out just a tiny little bit. It's the cuts of things that kind of make certain types of clothing look awkward if you have a different body shape than a typical Japanese woman. If you get what I mean. But I also think that it's not a unique problem to Japan. I have always struggled to find things that fit me correctly. Like jackets. I can't buy a nice jacket anywhere. Or actually, I could buy a nice jacket if I get like, you know, super high-end custom-made jacket. But like one of the things I would love to wear is a nice leather jacket. These like really cute like fitted leather jackets, that would be great over a white t-shirt and some blue jeans and some boots. Like that would be a great outfit and I would love to wear that outfit. But guess what? I cannot find a leather jacket that will fit me. All of my jackets, all of my coats are big and oversized because I have very broad shoulders. Even in Canada, always struggled to find coats. When I lived in New Zealand, struggled to find coats. They do not fit my body shape. Every coat I have is gonna be this like loose oversized thing, which is cute, but it's a different look. It's not a unique thing to Japan to have things that don't fit correctly, that you struggle to find things. And I think in Japan, it's a lot of, there isn't the variety of different cuts that could complement different body shapes. You get what I'm trying to say? I don't know if I've explained this correctly, but that's my personal feeling, and when I shop, those are the problems I run into. It's more about cut and shape of the clothing rather than the actual like waistband size or something like that. You know what I mean? So the other thing about shopping in Japan is the free size or the one size clothing. And I actually have, you know, not a lot because I haven't bought a lot of clothes in Japan, but I do have a few things from these free size clothing stores, and I love them. They're actually some of my favorite things to wear. And even though like I'm not Japanese, I'm not Japanese size, these clothes still fit me because the thing in Japan, the style in Japan is very oversized, very baggy. And if you're into that style, these things will probably still fit you. They would fit you a little differently than they would a Japanese girl, but they still fit you. So like with a lot of my one size or free size kind of clothes, you can see my body more in them than you would a Japanese girl, But I mean, it still looks okay on me because that oversized fashion and that oversized style is still relevant to it. However, I want to say, I guess part of that would also be my shopping habits, possibly, because I have realized that all of my free size clothes that I have bought have been unisex as well. So that's the other thing, is that these free size clothes can also be unisex. So that's also a thing in Japan when it comes to the free size clothes. So I wouldn't completely like write it off if you think you might struggle with it or whatever. Like, maybe give it a chance. Maybe you could find some really cool things that do fit you, even if they fit a little different, they can still look good. Okay, so moving away from the like clothing topic and getting back onto the actual like body image and confidence thing. One thing I want to kind of mention and talk about, maybe it's because of like where I'm living and the environment and the attitudes of people way out here in the countryside of the countryside. Nobody comments about my body or about how I look. Or I guess I have gotten comments about my body, about my chest. I remember at school, back when I was teaching at the elementary schools, I had like a little pocket on my shirt, and the girls like to, elementary school kids in general, like to like climb on you and stuff. And the one girl was like pulling on the little pocket I had on my shirt, and they mentioned about the boobs and about brassiers and whatever. But you know, it's little girls, they're just, you know, curious and whatever. But generally speaking, like from adults or anyone whose opinion matters, like outside of, you know, anyone over the age of 7, I'm talking about, I haven't gotten any comments, at least to my face. Actually, that's a lie. I got one comment again about my chest from a junior high school kid saying I had a big chest, and I shut him down real quick. And him and his friends that put him up to saying that to my face, they all got shot down real quick. Just with a look. Just with a look. That's all it was. Never happened again from anyone at any school. But yeah, I guess any comment I have gotten have been about the size of my chest, not necessarily being fat and the weight gain that has made me self-conscious. I mean, I've always been self-conscious about having a large chest, and I've always done everything I can to minimize it. But what makes me feel really uncomfortable is the weight gain, and that's made me really unconfident within myself. And nobody has actually commented on that to my face. I mean, granted, people could be talking a lot of smack about me behind my back and calling me fatty McFat behind my back, and I don't know it. But like to my face, the way people talk to me or interact with me, nobody has said anything. Even with like very indirect comments, Japanese people like to be very indirect with some things they say. I haven't even gotten any kind of side comments that might make me think a little bit. If anything, people seem like worried about how much I eat. And I feel like that's a thing. At least, I don't know if it's everywhere in Japan, but at least where I live. I remember when I first got to school, before school lunch started, my teacher was like, when school lunch starts, do you want the small, normal, or large size rice? And I said small, and there were like everyone in the office, like the little like 3 people. It was like him and the vice principal and like the office lady, who were like wondering just to make sure they, you know, have the right amount of food or whatever, preparations. And they all seemed very, very nervous and worried that I said the small. They're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah, even the small is too big. And speaking of school lunch, I think that's why I have gained so much weight in Japan. Or at least like one of the reasons. I feel like the food in combination with the lifestyle in Japan is why I have gained weight. From when I had lost those 50 pounds to coming to Japan, those like 5-6 years, I didn't have the same like routine or lifestyle. I had moved to Singapore, I had moved to New Zealand, I was traveling a lot, and I still managed to maintain it very easily without thinking. It wasn't difficult for me to do that. I feel like in Japan, if I was to maintain my weight from the start. If I knew I was gonna gain weight and this was kind of like what was gonna happen, I would have to think about it. And one of it has to do with the food. So like school lunch was huge. Even though I said small and they started giving me the small, there was still way too much food. I was overfed at school lunch. So at most of my schools, especially when I started, I would eat lunch with the kids, and especially at the elementary schools, it's a big deal to finish everything that's on your plate. I feel like it's the same thing back home where it's like, you know, clean your plate, people cook this food for you, you need to make sure you eat it all, be healthy. And eating with the kids, I felt like I had to be an example. But when I had too much food to begin with, I would like force myself to eat because I felt like I needed to set that example, like clean your plate, people cook this food, there was a lot of time and energy and money that goes into providing this meal for you, don't waste it, you know, it's really bad to waste food. And I feel like I was overfeeding myself because of this when I first got to Japan. And over the last few months, I've kind of been like, I'm done. Like, I can't do this. I can't keep doing this. I need to get my life back together, get my health back under control. So I've been putting food back, not finishing, not forcing myself to eat more than I would like to. So hopefully I can start to lose weight, but also just the general lifestyle of where I'm living in Japan is like very unactive. Like if I'm gonna be active, if I'm gonna be like healthy and get exercise, I have to put effort into it. And like I said, I never really had to put effort in maintaining my health before because everyday activities were very active for me. And here, I'm not walking everywhere. I'm not doing a lot of just exercise and active lifestyle things in Japan because that's not the lifestyle where I live. In my town, in my area, if I need anything outside of basic grocery and cleaning supplies, I need to go to the next town over. Like if I need to go to the doctor, I need to go to at least the next town over, if not 2 towns over. So a 30-minute to an hour drive to get to a doctor. Back before I broke my printer, I used to have a printer, and to buy ink for my printer, I would have to go drive 30 minutes or so to the nearest store to buy printer ink. That's just the lifestyle here. I drive my car everywhere because there's very few things close by. And that wasn't my life in Canada. Living in downtown Toronto, you don't have a car, that's stupid. And it's like, okay, should we wait for the streetcar or just walk 40 minutes? And we often just walked 40 minutes to get where we're going because one, you're probably gonna get there faster than the TTC. TTC problems. But you know, it's just like common sense. Like, of course you're gonna walk 40 minutes to get somewhere. Like, why wouldn't you? Whereas like here, I could walk 40 minutes and I'm still not where I need to be. That just daily stuff isn't an option here. When I was traveling around Singapore, well in Singapore I had like exercise groups with friends at the university, but traveling around New Zealand, I was walking everywhere. I was doing hikes all the time just to get to the different places I wanted to go. And it was great, it was fine there. But where I'm living in Japan, that's not the lifestyle here, that's not what you do. You kind of need a car to do simple things around here. And so it's just like a combination of feeling like I couldn't control how much food or what food I was eating, and then the lack of easy exercise. I've started doing it now where it's like I'm forcing myself and I'm trying to, okay, gotta exercise today, gotta do something because I know it's not given to me anymore. I have to work for it now, and I have to work extra hard because I've gained weight. It's not even just maintaining, which is all kinds of frustration for me. I liked when it was easy and I didn't have to think about what I was eating or what I was doing, and I could just easily maintain the weight I lost. So anyways, let's put a little conclusion, a little summary about my rant that I have done today. My body confidence has gone way down since coming to Japan, but it's because my body has changed in ways I am not okay with, I am not comfortable with, so obviously that's gonna happen. But with that also being said, I haven't felt any like outside pressure from Japanese society here to change the way I look or to conform to Japanese standards or lose weight or whatever. If anything, I feel like they're just like feeding me constantly and I'm like, please stop. Pro tip though, pro tip, if you're like me and people keep trying to feed you stuff, just say you're on a diet. Say you're on a diet and people will leave you alone and they'll stop trying to feed you constantly. I feel like diets here, a little side note about like diets in Japan. I feel like diets here are very normal. Like people give you the respect. If you say you're on a diet, you're like, okay, okay. And like nobody questions it, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because I've heard other people talk online, especially like talking to like other Japanese women about like diets or whatever, and a lot of them seem very unhealthy. However, with like my friends and like coworkers, when we talk about like diets or whatever, or like losing weight or whatever, you know, that kind of thing, it seems to just be like cutting out rice. That's all they do, is like they cut out rice. And it's like I had a friend be like, oh, I hadn't had rice in like 3 months. And I'm like, girl, I wish I haven't had rice in 3 months. Like if it wasn't for school lunch, I wouldn't have had rice in 3 months. If you give me a protein and some veggies, that's a complete meal. I don't need anything else. That will make me feel good and satiated and whatever. Man, I wish I wish I was you. But I mean, especially like, you know, a couple years ago when I was forcing myself to eat everything on my plate for school lunch to be a good example for the kids, I'm like, oh my God, can you just like not give me rice? If you gave me this meal and you took the rice plate away, that would have been fine. That would have been a complete meal in my mind. So yeah, I guess maybe my coworkers and my friends in Japan do it in a fairly healthy way. I feel like cutting out rice, yeah, sure, no, that's fine. You can still have a very healthy diet to lose weight without rice. Little side note. Anyways, I guess that's all I have to say about like body confidence and body image as a foreign woman in Japan. And yeah, let me know your experiences in the comments below, because like I said at the beginning of this video, we all have different experiences and they're all just as valid as the other, because that's what this kind of topic is. There is no like yes or no. This isn't factual. This is just sharing experiences. Yay! So yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe it, because I'll be back with another video soon. Bye!